there is a sound that changes everything. A deep rumbling growl that you do not just hear. You feel it. It shakes your chest. It fills your lungs like a second heartbeat. The smell of gasoline mixes with something older, something that pulls you backward through time. This is not just a car starting. This is a door opening. A door to a version of yourself you thought was gone forever. And for some people, this sound is the only thing keeping them whole. But here is the strange part. Why would anyone choose this? Why would a person spend their weekends under the hood of a machine built decades ago? A machine that is loud, heavy, and drinks fuel like water. A machine that fights you on every turn and has no backup camera, no lane assist, no computer telling you what to do. In a world where cars can drive themselves, why would someone choose a beast that demands everything from them? The answer is not about cars at all. It is about something much deeper. It is about control. It is about feeling real in a world that feels fake. And it is about holding onto a piece of yourself that the modern world is trying to erase. These are people who have discovered something that most of us forget. The things that challenge us are often the things that save us. The things that demand our full attention are often the things that set us free. Let us not pretend this is simple. When you see someone driving a 1969 Camaro or a 1970 Chevelle down the street, it is easy to make quick judgments. Midlife crisis, living in the past, refusing to grow up. But these labels miss something important. They miss the quiet war happening inside that driver. A war between who they are now and who they used to be. A war between a world that demands efficiency and a soul that craves meaning. These drivers are not running from the present. They are fighting to bring something precious into it. They have looked at what modern life offers and found it lacking. Not in comfort, not in convenience, but in soul, in texture, in the kind of meaning that comes from engaging fully with something difficult and real. The easy judgment says they cannot let go. The deeper truth is that they refuse to let go of something worth keeping. Think about what it means to drive an old muscle car. Every single moment requires your attention. You cannot zone out. You cannot check your phone. The steering is heavy. The brakes need pressure. The clutch has a personality of its own. You have to think about the act of driving itself. You have to be aware of your own awareness. This is something psychologists call thinking about thinking, and it changes everything about the experience. When you are forced to think about what you are doing, something remarkable happens. You become fully present in your own life. You stop being a ghost floating through your days. You become solid again, real again. The muscle car does not allow you to disappear into autopilot. It keeps pulling you back to the here and now. And in our distracted age, this forced presence is more valuable than gold. Modern cars are designed to make driving disappear. They want you to forget you are even in a vehicle. Smooth rides, quiet cabins, screens that entertain you. The goal is comfort. The goal is ease. But something gets lost in all that smoothness. The connection between human and machine fades away. You become a passenger in your own life. The muscle car refuses to let this happen. It demands that you show up. It demands that you be present. And in a world full of distractions, that demand is a gift. It is a gift that most people do not even know they need until they experience it. The first time someone drives an old V8, something shifts inside them. They realize that driving can be more than transportation. It can be transformation. Consider a case profile that shows this clearly. Picture a man in his 50s. He works in an office. He stares at screens all day. He answers emails. He sits in meetings. His hands touch nothing but keyboards and coffee cups. Everything in his life is smooth, digital, and frictionless. Then the weekend comes. He walks into his garage. He pulls a canvas cover off a machine that weighs 2 tons and has more power than anything he will ever need. His hands touch cold metal, real metal. He turns a key and the engine wakes up like a sleeping giant. Suddenly, he is not a number. He is not a username. He is a person in command of something powerful and real. His wife does not fully understand it. His co-workers think it is a phase, but he knows something they do not. He knows that those hours in the garage and on the road are keeping him sane. They are connecting him to a part of himself that the work week tries to bury. When he is behind that wheel, he remembers who he was before the mortgage and the meetings. He remembers who he still is underneath all the responsibilities. This is not about showing off. This is about feeling alive. The muscle car becomes a tool for something much bigger than transportation. It becomes a space where the mind can breathe. When you are focused on the road, on the machine, on the dance between gas and brake, something interesting happens. Your brain shifts into a different mode. The part of your mind that usually worries about the future and regrets the past goes quiet. You enter a space of pure presence. Some call this flow, others call it meditation. But whatever you call it, it is rare, and it is valuable. People spend thousands of dollars and years of their lives trying to achieve this state through other means. They try yoga, they try apps, they try silent retreats, and the muscle car driver achieves it every time they merge onto an empty highway. The road becomes their meditation cushion. The engine becomes their mantra. The destination stops mattering because the journey itself has become the reward. The drive itself becomes a form of reflection. The road stretches out. The engine hums its deep song. And your thoughts begin to wander in ways they cannot when you are scrolling through your phone. This wandering is not wasted time. It is when your brain does its best work. It is when you make connections. It is when you solve problems you did not even know you had. The muscle car creates a protected space for this kind of thinking, a sanctuary on wheels. Scientists call this the default mode network. It is the state your brain enters when you are not focused on any particular task. It is where creativity lives. It is where self-understanding grows. But here is the problem. Modern life fills every gap with input. Every quiet moment gets stuffed with notifications and feeds and streams. The default mode never gets a chance to work. The muscle car, with its demands and its noise, paradoxically creates the silence your mind needs. By engaging your body fully, it sets your deeper mind free. But there is another layer to this, something harder to talk about. These cars are not just machines. They are time capsules. They carry memories. They carry versions of ourselves that we thought we lost. They become physical proof that our past was real. Let us look at a narrative illustration that shows this. Picture a woman who grew up watching her father work on his old Mustang every Sunday. She would hand him tools. She would listen to his stories. She would feel the warmth of the garage and the smell of motor oil. Her father is gone now, but she still has a Mustang. And every time she turns that key, she is not just starting an engine. She is visiting her father. She is keeping a piece of him alive. The smell of that engine is the smell of Sunday mornings with her dad. The sound of that exhaust is the sound of his laugh when something finally worked right. This is the burden of the past that these drivers carry. The car becomes a physical object that holds memories. It becomes proof that those moments really happened, that those people really existed. In a world where everything is digital and temporary, where photos live in clouds and memories fade into feeds, the muscle car is solid. It is real. It is something you can touch and smell and hear, and that matters more than most people understand. There is also something about these cars that speaks to a deeper need for control. Modern life often feels like being a passenger. We do not choose the algorithms that shape what we see. We do not control the economic forces that affect our jobs. We follow rules we did not make. We fit into systems we did not design. But when you get behind the wheel of an old muscle car, you are in charge. Every decision is yours. Every outcome is earned. The car responds to your choices, not to some computer program. This feeling of control is becoming more rare every day, and for some people, it is worth any price. Think about how many decisions get made for us in a typical day. Software decides what news we see. Algorithms suggest what we should buy. Navigation apps choose our routes. Even our thermostats learn our preferences and adjust without asking. We have traded autonomy for convenience. And for most things, that trade makes sense. But somewhere inside us, a part rebels. A part wants to make choices that matter. The muscle car feeds this hunger. It gives us a space where our decisions have immediate physical consequences. The defiance is important too. These drivers know what the world thinks of them. They know that electric cars are the future. They know that their machines are loud and inefficient and probably bad for the environment. But they drive them anyway. This is not ignorance. This is a choice. A deliberate choice to value something the modern world does not understand. These drivers are saying that not everything needs to be optimized. Not everything needs to be efficient. Some things are valuable precisely because they are difficult. Because they demand something from us, because they are not easy. This is a radical statement in an age that worships optimization. It is a declaration that human experience cannot be reduced to numbers on a spreadsheet, that the best way to live is not always the most efficient way. We see this dynamic in the story of a man who restored a 1968 Dodge Charger. He spent 3 years on it. 3 years of weekends in the garage. 3 years of hunting for parts. 3 years of scraped knuckles and frustration. He could have bought a new car in a single afternoon. A car with a warranty. A car that works perfectly every time. But that was not the point. The point was the process. The point was becoming someone who could bring a machine back from the dead. The finished car was beautiful, but it was the journey that changed him. When he talks about those 3 years, he does not talk about the problems. He talks about the late nights when everything came together. He talks about the moment the engine turned over for the first time. He talks about driving it down the street and feeling like he had accomplished something real. In a world of instant gratification, he chose delayed satisfaction. And the depth of joy he found could never come from clicking a button and having something delivered. This touches on something deep about how we find meaning. We do not find meaning in things that are given to us easily. We find meaning in things we struggle for, things we build, things we earn. The muscle car represents this in metal and chrome. It is not just a possession. It is proof of effort, proof of patience, proof of love made visible. And in a world that offers endless shortcuts, this kind of proof becomes precious. Every scratch on that chrome tells a story. Every replaced part represents a problem solved. The car becomes a map of experiences, a record of time spent doing something that matters. This is why these drivers bond so strongly with their machines. They have invested themselves into the metal. A piece of them lives in that engine bay, in that restored interior, in that perfect paint job they work so hard to achieve. Now here is where the tension gets real. The world is changing fast. Electric vehicles are everywhere. Self-driving technology is advancing. The idea of a car that requires effort, that makes noise, that burns fuel, feels more and more like a relic. For the muscle car driver, this shift is not just inconvenient. It feels like a kind of death, not physical death. Something worse. The death of a way of being. The death of a connection to history. The death of soul in favor of efficiency. Walk into any car show today and you will feel this tension. The classic cars gleam under the lights while conversations turn to regulations. How long before these machines cannot be driven on public roads? How long before the fuel they need becomes impossible to find? These are not just practical concerns. They are existential ones. They strike at the heart of an identity built around rumbling engines and open roads. When these drivers hear the silent hum of an electric motor, they do not hear progress. They hear loss. They hear a world forgetting what machines used to mean. The invisible threads that connect us to the past are being cut one by one. And for someone whose identity is tied to that rumbling V8, this cutting feels personal. It feels like the world is moving on without them, like the things they love are being erased. But here is what the critics miss. This resistance is not foolish. It is not blind nostalgia. It is a statement about what matters. It is a way of saying that human connection cannot be optimized away, that the relationship between a person and their machine has value, that the smell of gasoline and the vibration of an engine are not problems to be solved. They are experiences to be treasured. These drivers are not against progress. They are against a certain kind of progress. Progress that removes humans from the equation. Progress that values convenience over connection. Progress that makes everything smooth and easy and empty. They want their hands on the wheel. They want to feel the road. They want a machine that talks back to them, that has moods and quirks and character. This is not a rejection of the future. It is a demand that the future include room for the soul. Let me be clear about something. I think these drivers are onto something important. In a world that is becoming more automated, more digital, more disconnected, they are holding on to something real. They are choosing depth over speed. They are choosing presence over convenience. They are choosing a machine that makes them feel alive over one that does everything for them. This is not crazy. This is wise. Driving an old muscle car is an act of love. Love for imperfection. Love for history. Love for a time when machines had personality, when you could open a hood and see an engine instead of a computer. When the relationship between driver and car was a conversation, not a command. These drivers know their cars are not perfect. They know about the gas mileage and the maintenance and the parts that are getting harder to find. They do not care. Or rather, they care about something more than perfection. There is a certain kind of person who understands this. Someone who values the journey more than the destination. Someone who finds meaning in difficulty. Someone who would rather feel everything, including the struggles, than feel nothing at all. This is the psychology of the muscle car driver. Not a person stuck in the past. A person trying to carry the best of the past into the future. A person fighting for depth in an age of surfaces. These drivers have something to teach all of us. In their attachment to old machines, we see a broader truth. The things that make us human, effort, connection, presence, memory, are not problems to be solved. They are treasures to be protected. The muscle car is just one example. A loud, beautiful, impractical example. But the lesson applies everywhere. Sometimes the hard way is the right way. Sometimes the loud option is the honest one. Sometimes the machine that demands everything from you gives you more than the one that demands nothing. So the next time you hear that rumble on the street, the next time you see someone behind the wheel of a car that was built before computers existed, do not judge too quickly. That person is not living in the past. They are protecting something. They are keeping alive a connection that the modern world is trying to sever. They are saying that some things are worth the trouble, worth the noise, worth the inconvenience. They are saying that in a world moving faster every day, it is okay to slow down. It is okay to choose depth. That is the hidden psychology of the muscle car driver. Not escape from the present, but enrichment of it. Not fear of the future, but faith in something older. Not rejection of progress, but a demand that progress include what makes us human. These are people who understand something that efficiency experts never will. Sometimes the point is not to arrive. Sometimes the point is the drive itself. And maybe that is something we all need to remember. In our rush toward faster, smoother, easier, we might be losing more than we gain. The muscle car driver knows this in their bones. They feel it every time that engine roars to life. They carry it with them on every road. And in their stubborn love for imperfect machines, they remind us of something important. Being human is not supposed to be easy. It is supposed to be felt. If you have ever felt the soul in an old machine, hit that like and subscribe button. Tell us in the comments, what car is your anchor to the past? What machine holds your memories? And if you have never felt it, maybe it is time to find out what all the noise is about. Thanks for watching. We will catch you in the next one.